Alright guys, my name is Chris Gutierrez with Metro Valley Ambulance, paramedic and power stroke mechanic. I'm going to give you a walk around tour of this unit. I'm going to call this Rescue 33 so it doesn't get confused with any of my other listings that I have up. And this is a 2006 E450 by Wheeled Coach. Is the coach builder, has 106,000 miles, and we just had the sides reshot from the stripe up. Was because when we took the graphics off, there had been some fading and whatnot. You could read what it still said, and I realized that's a bummer for the next guy that's going to use this and put your graphics on there. So we had the sides reshot, and now it's a blank slate for your company graphics or the fire department graphics. And there is this side. You can see really nice shape. The chrome really shines, and the paint is really in really great condition. So let's start going through the outside compartments. Compartment 1 is the O2 compartment, and you can see here there is a rack in there for an M tank. An H tank will not fit in here. You'd have to swap the tank out, the tank rack out, if you wanted to put an H. So it's designed for an M. Well, at the very least, you'd have to change out the tank holders. This diameter is will only accommodate an M. So you'd at least have to change out the brackets if you wanted to put an H tank in there. There's a regulator. You can see there's two lines here. This is the high pressure line, so there's a gauge on the wall so you can see how much is in the tank without coming out here to look at it. And then the low pressure, the regulated side, which is 60 psi, it's 2,000 psi on this side. 60 psi is the regulated side that goes to your airflow regulator ports. The compartments they're sprayed with a Line-X type of truck bed coat in all of the compartments. It's for extra durability, and it also helps buffer the sound inside for a quieter ride, and helps retain the heat and the cool on the inside as well. And then all these lights on all of these compartments, they'll come on when the engine's running. I just have the engine off so you can hear me while I'm doing the demonstration. There's that. Here's the compartment for restock supplies or extrication equipment. You can go down there, good size space. That shelf is adjustable so you can take it out entirely or just move it to whatever fits for your needs. It's the backboard compartment. It's a really generous space here. There's 3 shelves for headbeds and C-collars and whatever you use to secure your patient heads. There's a divider. You can put several backboards on that side, a folding flat on the other side. This side is big enough to accommodate a scoop stretcher if you happen to carry those. There's that. We'll get in the back in a minute. Here's a spot for turnout gear or whatever you want to put, but it's kind of set up for your helmet and turnouts and whatnot. Here's a space down here for SCBA tanks, and then you have a rack integrated for 3 D tanks. So 3 oxygen D cylinders will fit in there. This swings open and you can load it up with 3 tanks right there. There's that. And this is the side compartment. We'll get in there in a minute. This is the compartment for your all the gear you're taking into your rescue, your trauma bag, your monitor, portable suction, all that stuff. Can fits there. Obviously you've got access to that equipment from the inside there. Down below is the battery compartment. There's a slide out tray, and there's 2 batteries in there. You can put 3, but it works fine with 2. You can get by with 2. So let me fire this thing up, and then we'll climb in the back and start going through all the patient care equipment and look at all that stuff. Oh yeah, I'll get into, if you notice the radios, I'll explain that in a minute too. Alright, let's go look at this stuff back here. So here's our back. And nice gray interior. I'm not a big fan of electric blue or forest green or maroon you see a lot, so nice gray. You'll notice there's a variety of floor hardware here, and it's set up for, you can put an MX Pro, Striker MX Pro, or Easy Pro, or a Power Pro will fit in here. You can put a Furno Model 35 or any of the ProFlex series will fit in here, including a Model 28, which has a completely different antler system. The 28 or the 28Z will fit in here. So whatever gurney you have, it's set up to accommodate that. So let's go ahead and climb in. We'll start with the compartments. Here we got your traditional plexiglass sliding ambulance compartments. There's an adjustable shelf on both of those. You can take it out entirely if you want a big space, or it's adjustable. Both of them are adjustable. There's two big drawers here that you can use you can customize and make, dividers or whatnot. There's those. Down below is a shallow space for extra belts or tourniquets or whatever you want to put there. You got the CPR seat that has the, if you want more counter space, the back will come down like so. Otherwise, you can just leave it up, which is how I kind of prefer it. Down below the CPR seat, there's a shallow space for, you can put emesis basins, bedpans, urinals, that kind of stuff down there. There's our action wall. We'll get into that in a minute. The jump seat is right there. Has an integrated child seat right there, and there are a couple of cracks on the seat, which is pretty common. But surprisingly, this is not what I would call bad. Usually, this whole center is torn up pretty good. The guys put knives in their back pockets, and the little clip that clips on there just tears these things up pretty bad. So this one's in pretty good shape. The upholstery everywhere else is perfect. There's no tears on any of the other upholstery. It's a big beefy armrest here, right there. So you can see the cushions over there. Everything's a mint, but this is pretty common. Oh yeah, and this also swivels around. You can see there's a handle right there. So if you have a third rider, sometimes people get sick sitting backwards. If you want to flip the seat around so they can look out the windshield, you can do that. So up above the action wall, we've got a lockable narcotics locker here. Put your narcs there, anything you want to lock up. Do have the key for that, so there's that. There's a big space here. Normally there's a shelf in there. This particular crew took it out. I don't know what they had, usually BVMs, and they must have had blankets or something else up there for taking the shelf out. This is called the ALS wall. Up above is the AC unit, and then this is the area that has the access to that side door from the outside compartment. This thing here is it's a portable SCORE suction charging station. So if you use SCORE portable suction, that is wired into the unit, and it will charge your SCORE portable suction. There's a drawer here, put whatever you want there, and down below is a file rack, so you can put your patient care reports or AMA forms or whatever you want to put down there. On the bench seat, oh yeah, before I forget, there's a for your whatever you use to clean the gurneys, bio bags, different stuff. It looks like, what the heck is that? That's interesting. Oh, this is radio stuff. That's stuff from the radio. I'm gonna have to keep that. But there's that compartment there, and then underneath the bench seat, huge space for blankets, pillows. You can put a hair traction splint or a Sager splint down there. And then there's an IV drawer right there, which is perfect if you're sitting on the bench seat. You can put your Tegaderm and your needles and your alcohol pads, all that stuff you start an IV with. Right there, convenient. And there is that. So let's get into the action wall. So over here, oh yeah, let me tell you about these radios real quick. These radios are staying in the unit. They're non-operable. The brain has been removed. The wiring's been removed. The antennas are still on the roof. There's 6 total antennas. You can use those antennas for your radio system. If you use Motorola Astro radios, you can certainly use these heads again. And the speakers, all this stuff is going to stay. So there's that. There's a Sharps container, BP cuff up there, and then your suction and stuff. So the switches, you got your patient heat. You probably hear that coming on. This is the speed selector, so it's on high, and you can probably hear that pretty good. Medium, that's what the medium is like. And then low, which is pretty low, I mean, it's barely anything. There's that. And then and then what determines what your if the heat or cool, this is your thermostat right there. So that's going to determine if you're going heat or AC or whatnot. Next switch over is our dome lights. So you probably just noticed they got a little brighter in here. Those are theirs now. I can't turn them off because the rear doors are open, so they're on low right now. Anytime you open the side door or the back doors, this row goes on. That row does not go on when you open the doors. So there's the low, and then there's the high. So there's that. Next button over is our oxygen. If you'll notice, there's a oxygen bypass valve here. If you leave it off, then you're going to have to use the oxygen switch. There's a solenoid back there, and then it opens up the O2 to flow to the ports. There's also a port on the bench seat side if you got a patient over there. If you don't want to deal with this switch, then you can just leave it on, and it'll just always be flowing. So as soon as, if we had a airflow regulator in there, in a tank, as soon as we turn it on, it would start flowing. But if you don't want a lot of calls, if you're really slow station, it's in your best interest to leave it off to prevent leakage of the O2 tank, and just use the button when you need to when you need O2. Next button. Oh, before I forget, I also have a light up there. If you want to keep all the lights off, if you're just doing an interfacility transport or something, your patient's doesn't want the lights on, you're working on your patient care report, you can boom do that. Or if you're drawing up drugs or something. Next button over is our exhaust fan. If there's smells back here that you want to get out, it'll suck from over there, and it'll suck from over here. There's also a clock here. If you're timing your drugs or whatnot, you can use that. And it needs a battery though. There's the exhaust fan. Next one over, suction. You'll see there's our suction regulator there. I'll just put my finger over the canister, and you'll see there's that. And then if you want to increase or decrease, you just adjust it with that knob there. There's a suction. We've got power door locks. So if you look at that little black knob right there, and then there's also a button over here. And then there's one on the back. There's also a light timer though, so if you're getting close to the hospital, you want to start shutting everything down, you can turn that on and turn the dome your dome lights off, and then they'll stay on for up to a minute there. There's also over here the same thing, door locks, and then also you got your timer for your lights. And then there's reach through here. If you hear your SCBA tanks leaking, you can reach through there, turn them off if you're in transit or whatnot. Then there's space down there for your oxygen mask cannulas, suction catheters, stuff like that. The electronics are up here, and wheeled coach electronics, which are my favorite. Very simple. This is your relay board, and it's nothing complicated. It's just all of these bus bars, which never go bad. The relays will occasionally go bad, and the way that they've done this board, you'll know right away just from seeing if the light is not coming on that you got a bad relay. So just about my little sister could determine if there's a relay out with this kind of a system. And then down below You got some 80 amp fuses, some solenoids, and more bus bars. And then you'll see there's solenoid over there. There's nothing in this ambulance that's complicated. Everything in here can be purchased from O'Reilly or Napa or Pep Boys or AutoZone. So you know, you're not dependent on the coach builder keeping something in stock, you know, to keep your rig up and running. And I always use the example of Horton and AEV and some road rescue vehicles that have really fancy switch panels. You know, everything's digitized, and you push a button. It's on a CPU board, but if one of the buttons goes out, the whole board is shot. And sometimes you can send it in for repair, but your unit's out of service that whole time. These are $8 switches. So if one of these goes bad, and they go bad from time to time, you just pop it out and replace it. And you know, you can get these from Napa. So, and then you just, you know, peel off you know what the title of the thing is, put it on the new switch, and you're back in business. So and that's the same thing for the front too. You know, you just pop a switch out if it goes bad, and you know, $8 later and a couple hours later you're back in service. So that's a big plus with Wheeled Coach ambulances. They have bulletproof electronics, and it's one of the reasons why almost all of my ambulances are Wheeled Coach. So there's that. Let's go ahead. Let's go look in the cab. I think I covered about everything back here, and then we'll I'll take you for a test drive too. But let's go. I'm going to turn this thing out of the sun, and then we'll go over everything in the cab. I'll be back in just a minute.